fundraiser. And so one of the very first ways I look at increasing revenue is trying to figure out who else would want to be involved in the project. Anybody who lives in Brandon knows we have an issue around brownfields, old gas stations. But what you don't know is that last year the province had millions of dollars tucked away to deal with brownfield development. So if I were queen for a day, we'd make sure that we were able to access and know about some of these federal and provincial programs so that we could bring that money back to Brandon. Because again, I think that you've got to be aggressive and go looking for it. You can't wait for somebody to come knocking on your door. Second thing is growth. That in Brandon we've had a ton of growth. So where's that dividend? How come my taxes went up? How come your taxes went up? How come our taxes keep going up, even though the city keeps getting bigger? Because that's one of the ways that we can put more revenue into city coffers is through growth. But again, you can't be passive. You have to have a plan, and then you work the plan to get the city bigger. Maybe it's more industry, maybe it's more people, maybe it's we're all more prosperous, but it won't happen without a plan. Economic development in this city is languishing. Portage La Prairie is doing a better job at economic development than we are. They've just finished a really interesting study called economic cluster development, where you take something like culinary, and then you put all the things around it and make that better. And so under culinary, you'd have culinary tourism, you'd have the Manitoba Institute of Culinary Arts, you'd have restaurants, don't you touch that filthy yet, that you would have festivals, you would have market gardens, and you take that and you would promote that together. Whoops.
So we have one more question from the floor. Yes, sir, please. Your question?
As a 25-year-old with back problems, instead of filling it up with gravel tar. The gravel tar goes away the next year from the snow graders or whatever, right? Why don't we repair those roads properly so we don't have to worry about it ever again for, say, another 5-10 years down the road? I'm just wondering what people are thinking about fixing on the potholes and cracks and what's damaging my car so I can't even pay rent.
Thank you for your question. The question is the attention to detail for infrastructure in Brandon, and our first respondent will be Sherry, please.
I live at 14th and Louise, so I know the pothole of which you speak. That despite the fact that Brandon's had more road construction and bridge construction than any point I can possibly remember, I mean, we still have roads and curbs and bridges and sidewalks that are in huge need of repair. I mean, this is a choice that at some point we're going to have a conversation about with the community. Where are our priorities? Because again, we only have limited revenues. We've got increasing expenses, so collectively, what are we going to do? Do we want to spend more money on road construction? Can we do it cheaper? And I don't know that, not being a road construction. That, again, maybe we just live with it. And, you know, certainly there's lots of communities that have worse roads, and if you drive in Winnipeg, you know that's true. That, do we think we need to put taxes up to pay for more roads? No, I don't think there's an appetite for that in Brandon. But I do think, again, that, I mean, it's those day-to-day annoyances when you go past particular spots in the road that just never seem to get fixed. Maybe it's a data problem. And again, I know the city's got a wonderful new GIS system in place that's starting to track those kinds of things, so maybe we're just getting more information and better information now. But again, I mean, you know, when it comes down to what are the priorities in our city, I mean, that's got to be a big one for sure. Thanks.
Thank you, Sherry, and I'll call upon David, please. Infrastructure.
Thanks very much. And I think I touched on that before as far as what we've had, or I've had, for a policy or thought of what we do with taxes. I can tell you, someone said we've jumped up in tremendous increases in taxes, and that's not correct. In 2007 it was 2.3%, then 4%, 3.3%, and this year was 2.3%. So there were no massive amounts. But we've tried to keep up with infrastructure, never reduced at all what was going into sidewalks or roads, in fact increased into sidewalks. And I honestly can tell you, I really have not had, that doesn't mean you're not exactly right, have not had complaints of any significance about potholes, but that's what we listen to. That's why we also have public hearing before we do our budget deliberations. So I hear you. That's something that we'll take a closer look at and see if there's something that's not going right. And we're always trying to increase the quality of life here and also listen to the public to what we need to put more attention to. So I appreciate that, but I can honestly tell you I haven't really had too many calls about that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, David. We'll call Henry, please. Your work on the infrastructure.
I think I agree with Sherry. It's a matter of priorities. And if I had the city of Brandon's wallet in my pocket right now, I'd put the money into housing. Then I'd put it into education, then healthcare, and then I'd get to the roads. Thanks.
Thank you. And Mr. Avalon. Yes, sir.
Brandon's infrastructure. I think as a mayoral candidate, this would be probably the position that I think I would excel in. This would be the department I would excel in. I don't think I could be your mayor and drive down the road in my big old Pontiac and hit a big pothole and not think that that's my responsibility to have it filled up. I see the potholes and I know what you mean by the fact that they fill them and it goes away. But I think as a city, we have to look in. We have a harsh climate here. It's a challenge. We go through 40 below. It's amazing. And we come up to 40 above. That's amazing. And we have a challenge with the weather and our quality of our roads. And I think that there's a real opportunity. We could seek out the products and the materials and the techniques and the ways that we can keep our roads refreshed and refurbished so that type of experience doesn't happen. I don't understand how Mr. Burgess could not have experienced a pothole in Brandon. I experience it on every single street. I've been all over the city. I'm a painter, a contractor, and I hunt every single door for my job. And I've experienced potholes, poor roads, poor sidewalks, bad service flutes into public businesses that pay heavy taxes to have that service flute there in their sidewalks. And if I owned a business and every one of my clients had to drive over a massive pothole every time he wanted to come onto my property to buy my services, I would be more than offended. And as a city, I'm running for mayor because I'm offended for those people. I see those people struggling in their day-to-day business, and I see that sidewalk unmaintained by the city, and yet I see the city be able to afford to push new concrete in areas that we don't need it. There's not a need or a necessity for it to be there. And I just believe that the concrete and the sidewalks and the streets that we've already developed should be maintained, and we should always be seeking new specialized techniques in asphalting in order to provide our city and our citizens with smooth roads so that your car and my car don't get damaged just simply driving around.
Thank you, Mr. Avalon. And seeing a question from the floor. And I might ask how many more we might take. Would this be? And then I would ask each of the candidates to start thinking about their summary. But the gentleman, your question, sir?
Mr. Moderator, I have two questions. One of them is a simple yes and no, and the other one requires more thought. Would that be okay?
I believe so.
So the 6th annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast was held this spring in Brandon. This year the community group has expanded the concept to change the name and reflect the broader areas in Westman. It is now called the Westman Leadership Prayer Breakfast. Would you, as the elected mayor, commit to attend this function in the spring of 2011? That's the one question, is yes or no. The other one was with regards to the housing. Mrs. Hurst indicated that although there was something like 400 starts in the city of Brandon, that some of these houses are in the $300,000 range. So my question is, do you have two ideas of how the city can legally and properly help developers with lowering the cost of building homes in Brandon or refurbishing homes in Brandon or apartments in Brandon? Two ideas how they could do that to lower that cost.
Thank you for your question. There are two questions here. One, would you, as the mayor of Brandon, attend a prayer breakfast? And two, your ideas or two strategies that you might put forth to bring lower cost housing to the city of Brandon. And I'll ask first, Henry, your favorite topic, housing.
I currently take my daughter to Richmond Park Mennonite Brethren Church, and I'd be all for attending a prayer breakfast. So yes. And I'd like to actually see more yes/no questions. I'm good with those. I have an idea, and it's not exactly my idea. We have a lot of non-profit groups and organizations in Brandon, such as the DOTC, the MFF, the Friendship Center, the CMHA, Habitat for Humanity, Youth for Christ, YMCA, and Seniors for Seniors. All these people have supporters. All those supporters are voters. I think that gives a certain power of persuasion with the provincial government, and we can approach the provincial government and say, hey, we're not voting for you unless you can give us some money to fix our housing issues. And maybe they can approach the federal government and make more funding available to help us resolve this issue. Thanks.
Thank you, Henry, and thank you for that yes/no question. And the next person I'll call will be Dave, please.
Thanks very much. Well, I've always found it to be an extreme pleasure to attend the breakfast, and I would definitely, of course, say yes to that in the future. I'd be more than pleased. As far as the housing, I can tell you that there's so much that's available right now. It has been frustrating sometimes where you try and get affordable housing partnerships going. It's not always easy to make happen. What we are striving to do, and what I propose to do, and you're beating me ahead, so I haven't done my press release on that, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and tell you now that I want to actually have different parcels of land. There's 3 in particular, including First and Veterans Way, at least 10% of the property, and parcel downtown, and of course we already know Fleming property is up for that same provision, that I would want to have that donated to affordable housing. Put out a call for proposals. That way we can actually judge the merit in what is being offered for those properties and what benefit that would be to the community. We have in place already where the applicants can put forward an application of $12,500 from the city for 1-bedroom units, also $14,000 or $14,500, I'm not sure, for 2-bedroom units, and also 50% reduction for the first 20 years of taxation. You add all those together, plus have provincial help as well, and even some of the partnerships, whether it's Habitat for Humanity or whoever we end up working with, the proposal call would help bring the best